Welcome back to the podcast. This week we are joined by Alexis and Jen from That's Flipping Retro. And they're a UK-based couple who specialise in retro toys, some clothing, and of course the dreaded Lego. Right now, they're seriously considering, or maybe just thinking about it, leaving eBay to focus on other platforms. And they've got plenty to say about the challenges and changes they face in the reselling world. Hey, I'm Car Boot Chris. I'm a full-time UK online reseller. I operate mainly on eBay and also Whatnot, but also some other platforms as well. I'm going to bring you regular podcasts all about reselling, hopefully to keep you company, to entertain, or maybe to educate. Who knows? Welcome to the Everything Reselling Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Car Boot Chris. I'm a full-time reseller, and this is our podcast. It's episode 10 of Series 5. It's the final episode of the series, and we're going to end it with a bang with That's Flipping Retro, which they'll be coming on in just a minute. I can see them in the background, nervous as hell. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Also, I need to talk to you about our sponsor. Thank you very much to Fleek, who have sponsored all 10 episodes of Series 5. So thank you very much. And this is what Fleek is all about. A big thank you to Fleek, also known as Join Fleek, who are sponsoring the podcast for this series. So thank you so much for that. Fleek are an online marketplace where wholesalers can sell their job lots, bundles, and bales of wholesale vintage clothing. Just like eBay is a marketplace for people like me to sell new and pre-owned goods, Fleek is a marketplace for people who sell wholesale vintage clothing from around the world. A couple of little tips from me for buying from Fleek. Well, firstly, have a look at the listings, and I always try to buy from someone who has a video on the listing, but the video is the actual items for sale, not a representative. Some will say this is a representative, some will say these are the actual items. I always go for the actual items. Try and buy from people in Pakistan or India, and that is because there'll be no import charges and the shipping is included. You can also do a video handpick. If you contact a supplier, tell them what you're looking for, you can do a video handpick. If you do decide to buy from Fleek, I can give you a code that will give you £26 off your order. The code's in the description below of both the podcast and on YouTube, and you can see it on screen right now. And thank you again for Fleek for sponsoring the podcast. Awesome. And I use Fleek myself. I actually had a message from a seller on there this morning who has been looking out for certain things for me. So I might be able to do another deal later today. That's a good thing about it is you can put your requests on there, and some sellers will sort of look out for those things, keep them to one side, and then send you a video of the items when they've got like enough to do an order, which is quite good, really. Anyway, let's crack on with this podcast. We're going to bring the girls on. Are we ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Hi, girls.
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the podcast. Hope you're doing okay. Do you want to give yourselves a bit of an intro so that everybody here knows who you are, and just in case they don't?
Yeah, well, I'm Jen. And you're Alexis.
Yes, normally.
Yeah. That's Flipping Retro, obviously.
Yeah. Our channel. Silly little channel. We've been selling mostly toys for a long time, but we've recently branched into clothes. And you do Lego, don't you? Yeah.
You're absolutely knee-deep in Lego at the moment. We've been on YouTube for just over a year now. But we've been resellers for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's us.
Cool.
Yes,
basically.
What got you into reselling in the first place?
My dad, he's basically like the Jesus of reselling.
He's Del Boy,
He's Del Boy, yeah, or Arthur Daly, if you remember him. And he brought a car boot seller, big massive tub full of Lego, and he gave it to us.
It was a lot of Star Wars in there.
A lot of Star Wars, loads of minifigures. Yeah. It was like a reseller's dream.
Yeah, so we had no idea what we were doing with that little lot, didn't we?
No,
One night.
But he gave it He gave it to us for about 20 quid, was it?
Yeah, 20 quid.
Yeah, and from there on, we kind of sorted it out to minifigures and stuff and started selling it.
No, we didn't with that lot.
No,
we just sold it on.
Oh.
But then we were like, you know what? We could have made more money sorting this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were both, I was a mental health nurse and you were an NHS receptionist, weren't you, at the time? And we were both sick to death of our jobs. So we just packed it
Good
in.
advert for them, isn't it?
Because it was all during,
it's hard though, isn't it? It's hard working for the NHS. It's hard working for any of the services. I know there's a few people who have sort of had enough of working for the NHS, and it's a shame. It is a shame because, I mean, how long have you guys sort of worked in that sort of department?
I was a nurse for 6 years, but you were a lot longer.
15 years. Yeah.
Wow. Because you spend a lot of time sort of training and, you know, getting yourself up to that point where you're you know, got an official position, and then you know, now you're resellers. Any regrets?
Nope.
No.
Not at all. We don't make as much money, but we're not gonna
Money's
have
not everything.
No.
So you were talking about Lego there. Lego is something that I kind of like actively avoid. However, a recent like garage pick that I went to, the guy convinced me to buy a load of Lego that he had. I spent like, I don't know what it was, 40 quid or something on tons of Lego, absolutely loads of it. So you started with Lego, you said there. Was that right? Pretty much that's where you started. For some people that's a nightmare, and that's kind of the case for me. So have you got any advice? Eh?
I absolutely hate Lego. I have nothing to do with the Lego.
Yeah.
So have you got any advice for me, like in regards like dealing with Lego?
Avoid vintage stuff if you can, because people think there's a lot of money in it, but there isn't always a lot of money in that stuff. Yeah. So some of it maybe is worth.
Focus on like sets and box stuff, maybe.
Yeah, we did have actually a vintage set, didn't we, a couple of years ago, and that was brand new in the mailer. Came direct from Lego back in the day, and that was, I think we sold it for 400 quid, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So some of it can be worthwhile, especially if it's still quite new.
How did you sort your Lego out?
How do I sort it? Oh God, do you want the whole process? Start to finish?
Basically, because we do buy big boxes of Lego in, but then you'll take out, like, you look for the bits, don't you?
So all the stuff out, like take all the non-Lego out, separate the colours, you know, and all the accessories, all the minifigure bits, everything, and then just go from there. And I start with all the stickered stuff and the unique stuff, and then just look it up and see what sets there are in there, and then work through the minifigures the same way. See if I've got a complete set of minifigures for a particular set or something. Yeah, so you still start there.
And you use Bricklink, don't you?
Yeah.
I had a look at your Bricklink before via your YouTube links that you've got. So I had a look at your Bricklink. You've got a lot of listings on there. Is it actually worth your time? I don't know. I've never done it. Is it worth your time doing it? Because when I look at like Bricklink, I see things for like 5p, 10p. So how does that work? Is it worth it?
I think I once saw something online that said if you want to make a living out of it, you need about 80,000 bits of separate Lego on there.
Bloody hell.
Because of how cheap it is, yeah. So we just basically sell off bits and pieces that are worth it. You know, so unique stuff, minifigures, sets, stickered parts, that kind of thing. Generic stuff goes as kilo bundles, which is something I've sorted out. I've got a load to sell at the moment, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that with a lot of mine. So when you're doing kilo bundles, what's the price for a like a kilo of Lego at the moment, roughly?
The last time I looked, I think it was about 15 to 20, but only on some colours, because some are more sought after than others, really. And some of them, because I've got like some of the colours, not much of each, I just bung them all in the same bag and do like a mixed bag of colours. But your pictures have to be, I think, fairly good so people can see the sort of things you have in there. You know,
so you wouldn't do like a multi-listing. You wouldn't do a multi-listing. You would do actual pictures of each item.
Some of the actual the plates and stuff like that, like you said, the base plates, the baseboard. So like the 32 by 32s and stuff, they can fetch reasonably good money, and that again, that depends on the colour of them as well. So I would do multi-listing for that kind of thing if they were all the same, and I had bigger stuff like that. But like the little generic-y bits just goes kilos really, around about 15 to 20.
Yeah. And do you think that I'm just thinking this is totally like I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do with all this Lego that I've got. So is it better to like do it into colours, or just throw it all in and weigh a kilo out?
If I sell it as kilo bags, I separate it into colours because people like it, I think, more when you sell it as individual colours, really. You know, so instead of like a mixed bundle, if you want to do something that is all mixed colours, it would be, I suppose, similar types of Lego. So you would want to, I think, maybe separate it out in plates and bricks and all kinds of stuff like that, and sell it like that kind of way. But it is easier to do it as colours.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Sell it to Alexis.
Sell it to me. Somebody's commented.
That might not be a good idea. That might be a good idea. Tea Cakes on YouTube says, I've got a 17 kilogram mixed bundle listed at the moment. That's as much sorting as it gets.
Yeah.
Let us know, Tea Cakes, how much are you listing your 17 kilo bundle for? Let us know in the chat in a minute and I'll come back to it. So whereabouts do you sell? What platforms do you sell on?
Obviously eBay, Vinted, Depop.
We did do Etsy, but we don't do
We've
that.
abandoned Etsy for the time being. And sometimes Facebook Marketplace if it's like a larger item.
Yeah. Which we don't have many.
No, we don't have many. No. And we are doing a car boot sale on Sunday. So
you're selling
anywhere we can. Yeah, we're selling at one on Sunday because we're moving into we're getting rid of the office and moving to a storage unit, so we've got a lot of stuff to get rid of.
Yeah.
So we're taking it all to the car boot just to, you know, price to sell really.
Right. Cool. Yeah, it's always we did one like last weekend. We did a selling at a boot sale. We didn't make a lot of money, but it felt good to clear out some stuff, and then we sold some stuff afterwards privately to somebody who wanted to take off all our remaining sort of stock, which was useful. So it's always good, but we probably do like 2 a year or something just to clear stuff out. Don't do it that often. I was thinking about doing some more often, like once a month or something, because it's a bit weird because at our car boot sale, like if two of us go early bird to the car boot sale, it's £10 to get in, £5 each. But if you go and sell, it's £7. So you might as well just go in, two of you in the car, abandon your car in the middle of the field, and you don't have to walk very far, and just go and buy and just don't sell. Save £3. Stupid, isn't it?
But you're gonna, I'm probably gonna be hit at the face of the car boot, and you're gonna go round and
probably first thing in the morning. I'll go round and try and get some bargains off stalls and stuff. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you in the country?
Norwich.
You know what? I've never been to that neck of the woods at all.
Sorry, you keep going off on here. I don't know.
Yeah, your screen keeps disappearing for a few seconds, but so we're in the east of England, basically, the arse end of Britain.
I think it might be. I'm not sure if it's a connection my end because your picture is really bad, and I think we've got a little bit of a delay, but hopefully it'll be okay.
Well, I've got
can anybody else watching tell us if we're okay on the screen and just let us know what you're seeing and hearing? Because I did have some issues before we started with camera and microphone on my end, so I don't know if we've got some problems. Let me know in the chat if there's any issues, but we'll carry on. So you two, how is your business set up? Like legally, are you a partnership? Are you a limited company?
Partnership.
How does that work?
A partnership.
Partnership.
Hopefully be a limited
50-50.
one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, just 50-50 partnership.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's always been, isn't it?
Because our initial investment was 50-50 anyway, wasn't it?
So when you're a partnership, does that basically mean you're just both like individually sole traders? How's that work? Like, what's the difference between? So are you just both separate sole traders?
So the way it works with the tax man is, because I do all the finances for it, is you have a partnership account set up under a business name, and then you would have us doing our own personal tax, which would be 50-50 of what the business makes overall. So that's how it works for them. So you're kind of doing your own personal tax account, but you're registered as part of this bigger partnership, basically.
Yeah.
So do you each get the like the sole trader like allowance, like the 90K? Do you get 2 lots of that or 1, or how's that work?
You get 2 lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get 1 each for that, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think the partnership gets 1 for that as well.
Right. All right. That's interesting. Interesting to know, because one day me and Belle, you never know, we might go into business together if she ever agrees to do it. Oh, secondhand says flipping is pixelated. Chris is not. I don't know. Hopefully everyone can see and hear us. That's the main thing. So your name, flipping, that's Flipping Retro. So at what point did you come up with that? Was that when you very first started, like
it was
reselling?
When we started YouTube, when we started reselling, it was, well, our store name's completely different, but you came up with because we sell retro toys.
So we flip retro toys.
We flipped retro toys.
Yeah,
so that's Flipping Retro.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely obsessed with wrestling. So we sell a lot of vintage wrestling figures, or did sell a lot of vintage wrestling figures. He-Man as well, Brave Star, that kind of stuff.
And I was doing a lot of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, we did a lot of vintage Star Wars back in the day as well.
Yeah.
But not so much anymore, because Star Wars fans are the pickiest people you'll ever come across.
I can believe that.
They're very particular.
Sometimes Lego people can be quite meticulous, shall we say? I'll be a bit more diplomatic.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you started life with Lego, and then you've gone into like retro stuff. Like what was your thinking behind sort of going into that genre? You know, whereas a lot of people are just everything sellers, but you guys sort of focused in on the retro toys. Was there a reason for that?
You love them, don't you?
Basically, I love them. I'm a massive child.
That normally is the answer.
Yeah, and it was just kind of just stuff that I had when I was a kid, wasn't it?
And I've always loved to sort out Lego and stuff. So that was kind of just something I already liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's always good to sort of do things that you like or have an interest in, to at least to start with, just to get you going, and then you can branch out later on, can't you? Yeah. So you guys, I've watched quite a lot of your videos. I've watched most of them. I watched one where you were talking about how you decided to split the roles up in your business. So now each of you have different jobs. So who does what?
Go on then, what do you
Alexis is in charge of the important stuff like finances, because I'm a bit chaotic and messy. I run the eBay store predominantly at the moment, don't I?
Yeah. You sort all that out and organise that, don't you?
And Depop and
cross-listing, you do all that.
I do all of that, and you do the finances and anything to do with Lego.
Yeah.
Anything that's an official job is what Alexis does, because she's the brains of the outfit.
But you do a lot of buying.
I do a lot of the buying. I'm quite good at sourcing.
Especially clothes, because you didn't think that you would be particularly interested, but you've gone out and got some really good stuff so far, haven't you?
I thought it'd be boring selling clothes, but I've seemed to have taken to it now, and I know what to look for. I watched a lot of other resellers and what they pick up, and just kind of copied it.
Yeah.
So do you think you've got a fair split there on who does what?
Yeah, definitely. Because I would rather, I don't know, I'm trying not to swear.
Go for it.
How can I say? I would rather shit in my hands and clap than do taxes or finances.
Fair enough, yeah.
So, you know, there's jobs that I'm not suited for that you love doing or you're good at.
You love doing. I love doing the finances.
But the stuff that you hate, you don't really like going out and buying stuff and sourcing, do you really?
Not as much as you.
No. So it might be that one of us does more than the other on paper, but in actual fact, we both do stuff that we're good at and enjoy. So it works out quite well. And we're so opposite in personalities and stuff that we probably couldn't work on the same thing at the same time.
No, we tried that.
We did.
And to be fair, I don't know, our communication was rubbish, wasn't it, sometimes? So we were working on Lego, and I think you had the minifigures, and I was doing the sets, like the bits for the sets. And then I came to you and said, okay, I finished the sets, can I have the minifigures? And you'd already sold them all. And it was like, oh, God. So, yeah, no, we do the same, you know, like we individually, we work on the same thing.
Yeah.
Just, you know, ourselves rather than 50-50 in that sense. Yeah.
It's interesting how you've split that up, because I find it interesting that, Alexis, you don't particularly like going out and buying stuff. I mean, that's the bit that everybody loves.
I do like going out to buy stuff. Sometimes I think, though, it's just a case of, I don't know, how do I put this?
I don't
know. You like going out a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I could go out every day and be happy, but you're a bit of a home buyer.
A little bit, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe you've got the perfect split then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It works quite well.
That's good.
You're definitely the one.
Something I wanted to ask you about Lego, which I didn't ask you before, like in regards to authenticity, how do you check out what are the signs for knowing whether Lego is real or not real?
If it's like if it's just the generic-y bits, it will have Lego written on it somewhere. So if it's got like little hang on, I've got some here actually. Handy, isn't it? So if it's something like that, it'll have Lego written on there on the studs. But if it's not like that, it'll have Lego written on it somewhere. It's usually really, really small, the writing. So you do have to kind of tilt it, shine a torch in it, and it'll say it in there. It'll also have a code in it as to the part number that you can put in Bricklink and find it. With minifigures, it's a bit different, isn't it? Because sometimes the bits don't have Lego written on them, and it is just a case of like, you know, they're like the micro figures. The legs don't ever have it written on.
The tiny little legs don't have anything written on.
No, but usually you can tell the better quality. So if you put them next to like a fake bit of Lego, you can see there's a definite, you know, there's a massive difference in the quality.
Yeah.
And I think after a while, once you've been doing it for quite a while, you just get used to, you know, seeing something and kind of going, no, that's not real. It's really rubbish, basically.
Yeah, there is a brand called, is it Kobe?
Yeah,
and they print it on the things the same as Lego, and I can't always tell.
M38 is another one.
Because I'm dyslexic. To me, I see writing on it and I think, oh, that's Lego, so that's probably what it's best that you source.
Yeah, but there was a company I saw recently. I think it's something like Star or something like that, and they make building stuff that is really close to Lego quality. So you do have to be on your toes with that one.
Yeah, it's the minifigures I think that gets me mostly, because you see so many of the like non-genuine minifigures. You know, people selling them at car boots and shows. They have them all set up, and they just have rows of minifigures. And sometimes I don't know like whether they're genuine or not, but that's because I just don't deal in Lego. I guess. I guess if I dealt with it on a daily basis like you would get it.
Yeah, on the torso, the little neck bit, it's always got Lego written on there, no matter what.
And yeah, like inside the hair and the hats and stuff, that'll say Lego.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you look under at the bottom of the legs inside on the little foot bit, it should have Lego written there.
I mean, unfortunately, places like car boot, sometimes it is, because we avoid buying individual stuff from the car boot, don't we? Because sometimes that is their more kind of like custom, they call it custom stuff. So we go for the bundles at car boots more, because it's more likely that there's going to be genuine.
Do you think that the likes of AliExpress and Temu have flooded the market more with Lego, which isn't real?
Sorry, we missed the question.
Are you seeing more of like Temu and AliExpress stuff coming through? Is it flooding the market with Lego that's not real?
There's a lot of that on Vinted with
Wilco blocks.
Wilco blocks.
Mega blocks as well. Mega blocks, some of those can be worth money though.
Yeah, that's
some
true.
Of the sets.
But with Temu and that, I mean, they do a lot of the minifigures, but most of the time you can tell because it's stuff that there's never been a Lego figure of it.
And we won't even go into them selling the fake Funkos.
Oh, yeah.
Because those are cheap and cheerful, but there are ways of telling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we find that difficult, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We used to sell a lot of Funkos, but because there's so many fakes now, we just gave up on it. And they're not worth as much as they used to be either, I find.
No, they are going down in value so much. Yeah.
It's a bit of a funny one with the other figures, like Necker and McFarlane are faked a lot as well. So you got to be careful with Neckers, because you sometimes you see them all boxed up at a boot sale, and when you look closely, the printing on the box is very, very poor, and the actual quality on the figures is very poor as well. So you can normally spot the fake Neckers, but I need to brush up on the Lego stuff a little bit more, especially seeing as I'm now a Lego seller. Okay, where do you buy most of your stock? So do you source from the usual places, or is there some places that you source from that might be unusual to some resellers?
Well, we used to get it a lot from auctions. We used Vectis quite a lot, and they sell mostly toys and stuff. We used to get all our vintage toys and Star Warsy bits
at the very beginning.
Yeah. But now it's mostly charity shops, yard sales, sales. My dad.
That's an unusual place to source for other people, isn't it?
My dad's in his 70s, and he'll still go out. He'll get up at 5 o'clock and get out. He'll be one of the people who's in the back of the cars, you know. Have you got any of this? Have you got any of that?
He's trying to get you to go at 5 o'clock in the morning, isn't he?
I'm not out for early mornings, really. So I'm not very good at getting up early for a car boot.
Or for any other reason.
But no, we do like.
Do you still buy from auctions? Because of the prices, do you feel like prices have gone up a lot?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes with the Vectis auction, it's a lot more expensive than it used to.
Collectors seem to be congregating now, don't they, around auctions?
I mean, sometimes you can be lucky if you buy a bundle of stuff and you've spotted something that no one else has seen, but that's quite rare now. So we've given up. We did go to a local auction house and when we were doing ceramics and stuff, and that was quite good at first, but then we realised we were getting left with a lot of detritus. So we buy a box of stuff, there'd be a few good bits, and the rest was just crap. So
it was broken or it just wasn't worth the money, was it?
But I've got a good relationship with a local charity shop where all the clothes are £1. So I've been getting some really good stuff from them. I did manage to pick up a Hugo Boss jumper yesterday for £1. It's worth about 40 quid. So
you didn't even really know at the time, did you? No. Hugo Boss. It had Boss written on it, and you brought it back, and I was like, Hugo Boss?
Yeah, because everything's so cheap, I just grab anything that I think might be worthwhile.
Yeah.
So
99% of the time, it's a winner as well, isn't it? So,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, especially if you're paying £1 for stuff, you know, it's almost certainly going to be worth more than £1. So, you know, that's the thing with clothing. If you can get it cheap enough and there's enough of it about, which there is, then, you know, it is a good thing to go into. I think the initial thing with clothing is that it does feel a bit daunting. You think you're going to suddenly get loads of returns and, you know, that kind of thing, and worried about fakes and stuff. But I know when I first started doing clothing, I was all dead against clothing for a long time. And then when I first started doing clothing, it really changed up my business completely. I think, you know, within a few months, I was seeing sales go up. I was seeing average sale price go up on my eBay account. I think the amounts you can get for your clothing is generally higher than you know, bits and pieces and you know, bric-a-brac and figures and stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you got decent things, but yeah, I think generally, I think it pushes your eBay store up a little bit. You know, as long as you can find the right stuff. Doesn't mean obviously everything's going to be great, but I think clothing definitely was a game changer for me. What's your main platform that you sell on? What is the biggest earner?
Well, for a long time it's been eBay, but eBay at the moment is just so dead. I think a lot of people are feeling it. We had a whole week week before, where we didn't have a single sale. Whereas we'd normally make £70 to £100 on a daily basis. It's just completely, you know, it's just gone. We're not getting the views. I've tried promoted listings. I've tried promoting the shop, promoting off-site and all of those things, but it doesn't seem to make any difference. But we are doing really well on Vinted at the moment, because we can sell things, because there's no fees, we can sell things for a bit cheaper than we would on eBay. That's where we're getting most of our income at the moment is Vinted. And Depop, we've had a few sales, but I think that's more of an American thing maybe than British. But Vinted is definitely where it's at the moment. But we let's talk
about eBay then, and this brings us nicely into like the subject for today's chat. And I've seen a few videos over the last few weeks that you've put out where you've kind of been like pretty despondent about eBay, you know, potentially worried about, you know, the future of selling on the platform and even potentially leaving eBay. I mean, I think you're not on your own there. That is for sure. I've seen over 2025 so far, the most people sort of saying that they've had enough of eBay more than ever. So you're definitely not on your own there. Have you seen any reasons as to why you think your sales like suddenly sort of drop off? Like having hardly any sales in a week, going from £100 days to basically nothing in a week. That's pretty drastic.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, because eBay have made so many changes lately. So I think that's probably got a lot to do
with all these fee structure thingies and all that, and the simple postage, and they're obsessing over those. And I think everything else has fallen by the wayside, hasn't it, a bit?
Yeah, and we're not as big as some other resellers. We've only got around 250 items in our shop at the moment, so that's probably going to be a contributing factor as well, isn't it? Probably, I don't know, Donald Trump's probably got something to do with it. With his tariffs.
It's just blaming him for everything.
Let's blame him. I'm not getting political.
We'll get Keir Starmer as well. We
won't mention Keir Starmer.
Don't go there.
And also, people are just haven't got much money anymore, so they're more looking for bargains, and they're not looking to pay the top prices. And I think Vinted is where a lot of the bargains are. So people
cost of living as well,
which is why we wanted to start selling clothes, because everyone needs clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, not everyone needs wrestling figures.
No, or Star Wars vehicles.
Yeah. So,
but having said that, like I always think, and I think I talked about it on Monday night show on our channel, and I'm still finding figures and toys and collectibles are still going okay, and I think that is because the people that buy those generally seem to have the more disposable income to buy them. Like, being able to buy sort of boys' toys and stuff like that, you know, adult sort of collectibles, generally means that you've probably got a bit more disposable income than normal. But yeah, I mean, is your seller level still? What seller level are you at? Are you above standard? Are you top rated?
Yeah, but we've always been above standard.
Touch wood. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw George's video. I don't know if you watched it yet, but George went on one of these calls with eBay where they examine your account and they go for everything. And one of the things he said to them was that he had a period of a week where his impressions on his stuff dropped like 98%. It went ridiculous, like nothing happening. And when the lady on the phone checked his account about a week before that happened, his seller level had dropped from top rated to what's the next one? Above standard. Yeah. He dropped for whatever reason. I think it was like late delivery defects or something. So he had dropped, and she kind of indicated that that might be the reason why all of a sudden the impressions had gone down. Have you had that movement in your account? Were you top rated and then you dropped down?
Rated,
yeah, we're top rated. So we've since we've been top rated 3 years ago, we've never been lower than top rated.
Right. Okay, so you've not seen any movement in that.
I got mixed up, and we've only had one negative, and that's almost dropping off, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's strange, though, isn't it? Do you think like you would honestly consider like leaving eBay and just closing your account, or just not listing anything?
We had done that before, hadn't we? We had enough of eBay a few years ago, and just took everything off there. And we started our own website selling just vintage Action Man stuff, and that did quite well, didn't it? For a time,
we got a little loyal customer base, didn't we? But unfortunately, it was a little loyal customer base was all we had, and we relied heavily, I think, on the people in that group actually buying anything, and the problem is then we weren't reaching a huge amount of people like you do on eBay.
Yeah. So as much as we dislike eBay sometimes, it is a massive platform and it does allow you to sell things over the world. So it's not all bad. I mean, they like their fees, but
they love them, don't they? Yeah.
But I think we're hoping at the moment that we can just ride this particular storm until it improves.
If you actually, let's say that you left eBay or you stopped listing on there, would Vinted automatically be your next biggest platform where you would sell?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the fee stuff, I think, on eBay that's got to us the most over the last few years, because it was about 25% we figured out they were taking every month. I mean, that's a huge amount of money.
And then there's the shop fee on top. And we said it was like, I don't know if you remember Carry On Camping. The old Carry On.
Yeah.
When there's the guy who they go camping and every time they want to do something, it's an extra £1. That'll be £1. That'll be £1. That's what eBay is like. It's an additional charge on top.
Yeah. But is your Vinted sales, are they outstripping eBay at the minute, or are you still Vinted are outstripping eBay?
Yeah, they're massive. We get sales on Vinted every day, whereas at the moment we're not. We didn't have any sales yesterday on eBay, but we had 3 or 4 the day before.
And you said to me yesterday about Vinted is like on eBay, you have to be so careful whether you accept offers because of the fees eBay will then take, whereas on Vinted you can accept a slightly lower offer because you know you're not going to get all the fees taken off as well.
Yeah.
Fair point. Yeah, fair point. Definitely. Let's have a couple of look at a couple of the comments here on YouTube. Limelight Vinty says, would one of you contemplate returning to a normal job, a regular job?
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't. I would never go back into nursing because it's not what it was. But you thought about it.
I have thought about it. I mean, it would have to be a very specific job for me to go into, but
What kind of thing would you do?
I would work in some capacity, like as in a library or bookshop or something, because my main passion is books. Yeah. So I would do something like that, but I think only because we keep thinking about getting a mortgage, only if I it was obviously that I was gonna, it would be better for us if I did, and then you would probably continue this.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'd just do this on my own, probably.
Yeah.
And have to get someone in to do the books.
Yeah.
Do you sell many books?
We do sometimes.
Yeah.
And
you're fantastic at sourcing books.
I love sourcing books, and I like all the really niche stuff. And sometimes the really niche stuff is worth a bit more as well, which is nice. And I do have quite a big collection of niche books myself.
Yeah, your books are worth a hell of a lot of money.
I love collecting books. But I like all the music stuff, and there's true crime. I like signed stuff as well. I like collecting.
Haven't you got a Stephen King book that you bought for £1 or something?
Yeah, I bought a Stephen King book about 15 years ago, and I bought it for £1.50 from a charity shop, and it's quite sort of a rare one. It's got a banned story. He did this one called Rage, and it got banned, I think, and it's now worth about 90 quid. So that was quite nice. Yeah.
Nice.
You're really good at seeing books and knowing when they're going to be worthwhile.
Yeah. Have you considered going more into books on eBay? Because books do really well. I don't really do it myself, but you see lots of sellers like on YouTube and stuff who just do loads of books.
I mean, I probably would.
Why not use it?
I think I have used the knowledge for some of it over the years, haven't I? But never really thought about doing it as a main thing.
Yeah.
But I think I collect as well. So the trouble is I go in and I go, oh yeah, I'd like that one. And then it disappears into my collection is the problem.
Yeah, so, you'll end up being a hoarder.
I think I already am with that,
But there's lots of people doing well with books. I mean, look, I know she's not in the UK, but look at Mel, sort of back from burnout. I mean, she's going crazy. I mean, thousands and thousands of books. I mean, I've watched her journey from years ago when she first started. I've followed her journey, and she used to come on chats here in the UK and stuff. She still does occasionally. And, she's grown massive in the book thing. She's up there with one of the top book sellers on eBay in Australia, I think, now. And there's people here in the UK who do it as well. I mean, could be something to think about maybe for the future, and, if you need something to change and try a different direction, certainly you could add it to your portfolio in your business, books. You got knowledge there. Got the knowledge, it's only the same as doing your figures and toys because you love figures and toys. Well, if you do books, you love books. I love doing sort of toys as well because I've got an interest in it, and I think it definitely helps. It helps with motivation, it helps with knowledge, and it helps listing, and it helps you to know what's current and what people are looking for. So it's always good to use your knowledge.
Yeah, sorry, someone's just made it.
Go on.
Oh, about Music Magpie and We Buy Books and all that. That's who we'd be competing with, isn't it? Because they sell books so cheap.
Yeah, they do World of Books, Music Magpie. Yeah, there's quite a few out there, and they have warehouses full of books, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
They do. But I think there's still room for you to find those a little bit more unusual. Music Magpie and World of Books and that, they do have a massive backlog of a lot of cheap books. But if it were me, I wouldn't be looking to sell the books that are £2-3. I'd be looking for the £20 plus books. I'd be looking for the higher end stuff. I wouldn't be interested in selling £2-3 books, and then giving free postage with it as well, making about 10p every time you do it. There's just no point, is there? Because like you say, you can't really compete at that level, but you can compete when it comes to the more collectible stuff and the more valuable books. Leanne Hill says, I watched George's video and he went from top rated to above standard in that time when he had that dip. So he had something that might have been an indicator for the reason for the eBay dip, but I'm still not convinced it caused that. He said 98% drop in impressions, like views on his pages and stuff. It's like his eBay just dropped off a cliff for almost a week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when that happens, it's happened to me this year. I've had a couple of seriously bad weeks this year on eBay where I've had I remember a £200 week, and I'm like, I can't live on a £200 week. It gets you go very, very despondent when you get a week like that, because you do start wondering what you're doing, what wrong, and how long can I cope with it being at this level. And I think that's when your mind goes into I need to do something else, or maybe I need to go and get a real job. because that's what everyone tells you to do, don't they?
Yeah.
But I think everyone has it at some point, and I think somebody else mentioned here, who was it? Chop says he's had 2 sales in a week on eBay. Now, I don't know what the size store he has or anything like that, but 2 sales in a week on eBay. Vinyl Nuts says, have you tried setting up a Facebook group to sell on or joining one? Do you ever sell in Facebook groups?
Yeah, I mean, I have joined a lot of the wrestling figure groups and vintage figures and Action Man and all that stuff, and I have sold on them in the past. And also just Facebook Marketplace as well. But everyone knows what a nightmare Facebook Marketplace is.
People not turning up,
or ghosting you, or
Yeah, and Vinyl Nuts goes on here to say, I have a group selling vinyl, and the members do really well selling on it. So as Vinyl Nuts, have you created your own group so that you can all facilitate selling your stuff on that group? Because that's quite good, isn't it? Like creating your own little buying and selling group. It takes a while to get anything like that up and running, though, doesn't it? Not sure. I guess if you're in a niche, like figures, books, or anything like that, I suppose you could do it. Don't know about Lego, because I guess people just go to Bricklink, don't they?
Yeah, we are on Facebook. We've got our own Facebook page as well, and we used to sell Lego minifigures, because we had a bit of a nightmare with eBay a few years ago where we had to change some details, and then they wanted all our ID and stuff again.
Oh God, yeah.
And then we couldn't sell on there or withdraw any money for about 3 months, was it?
We had a couple of grand in there as well.
Yeah, so we did sell on Facebook Marketplace then. That was, a bit of a lifesaver, really, because otherwise we wouldn't have had any income. But I think, you can't just sell on eBay anymore. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You have got to look at the other
but there are quite a few baskets now. Which is
luckily
handy.
there are. It isn't, because it did used to be eBay predominantly for a long time. But now there are a lot of places to sell, so you might as well take advantage of all of them if you can.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's dangerous now in this day and age with the way eBay are, and the chance of you like having your account shut down for no reason. I think it's always a good idea to have a couple at least on the go. If eBay suddenly restricted your money on their platform, you can move over to Vinted and carry on there. It's not ideal, but at least it's better than having no income just because eBay is your only one.
Yeah.
Limelight Vinty says Money Mental does well with books. I think lots of people do well with books. So Leanne says here on YouTube, Mel does well as they don't have a Music Magpie or World of Books competitors. I sell lots of books and bundles, but can get them really cheap or free. Yeah. So it's the age-old thing about, getting things as cheap as possible. But I guess it is difficult to compete. It's the same with like DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. You're competing with Music Magpie and stuff who, they make pence on each one. They make very, very little, but they sell huge volumes.
Yeah.
Paul Rose says he does well with rare books, but cheaper ones are for sale by the big boys, cheaper than the postage would cost me. Yeah, you do wonder, like with some of these sellers on eBay, like when you see like $1.99 for a book and free postage, and you just think, Christ, what's the point?
I can't the microphones. So my battery is I'm using my phone. My battery is now down to 10%, even though it was fully charged.
Panic stations.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to take the microphones out, I'm afraid.
It's okay, you carry on. I'm just going to read through some chat whilst you sort yourselves out. Vinyl Nuts says his group's got nearly 15,000 members. That's good. Wow, that's awesome. That If you can create your own, that's like creating your own little marketplace to buy and sell on. That's awesome. Well done, Nuts. Chop Chop says 221 items for 2 sales in a week, £17 Tuesday payout. Unfortunately, due to arthritis, I have to make eBay work. Wow. So similar numbers to you. I don't know if you can hear me, Jen. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear
Yeah.
us? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Brilliant. Yep, lovely.
Got you. Yeah, Chop Chop says he's got 221 items listing and he's had 2 sales in a week.
That's the same as us, pretty much. Then
That's what I was thinking when I read those numbers. It's similar to what you were saying before.
yeah, we are working to try and get a lot more on. I've got loads of listing to do today, and you're going to be putting Lego on, aren't you?
Yeah, trying to shift some Lego so I can complete some sets.
Yeah,
from the sales.
But then again, I think George has got over 1,000 items in his store, and he's having a lot of, or has been having a lot of days where he's not having any sales. So
yeah, it's definitely unpredictable right now. It's very unpredictable, eBay. I've had a couple of average weeks, but like I said, I've had some bad weeks this year. So, you know, I've got about 1,100 listings on my eBay store. I used to have like 2,000 and I reduced it right down. I wanted to sort of focus on the higher value store. I wanted to focus on the £20 plus items rather than the under 10s. And for that reason, I decided to reduce down my numbers. And what I do with eBay at the moment is I have a monthly rolling system of reductions in prices. So every single month, every item on my store, when it reaches its 30 days, will get reduced in price, somewhere between 5 and 10%, something like that. When it gets to 2 months, I end the item and I sell similar and I reduce the price again. So literally every 2 months, everything gets relisted. But every 1 month, everything gets a price reduction until it sells. And that's what I do now. And it seems to be working pretty well. It keeps the stock fresh, keeps prices going down, and it seems to keep the sales coming in. But we all have our own little systems. What's Chop Chop say there? After watching George's video this morning, I've done a voucher and some free post. It's always worth trying things. What do you do with postage? Do you do free post or paid post?
We've done a free post in the past, but now we do paid post, and we didn't find it made any difference at the time.
No.
Because it's not really free post because you add the
you're
money on
factoring
anyway.
It into the main price anyway.
It seems to me a bit dishonest, but we have done it before. But
yeah, I've done both. I've tried. I did free post for about 3 or 4 months, and I found absolutely no difference in sales, like in sales number. The only difference I did find was that I was earning less at the end of it. I was having to work harder for the money that was coming in, so I decided to put it back on again, and it's made absolutely no difference whatsoever. So, and this thing about eBay keep telling us, they keep saying to us, oh, people use the filter button to filter only free postage items for sale. I don't believe that. I've never, ever searched anything based on free postage. All I do is lowest. If I do anything, it's lowest to highest. And that will incorporate postage. So I don't buy this whole thing that eBay tell us that buyers are using that filter button for free postage. Why would you? Why would you use that? It's much better to use low to high.
Yeah, we had a call, the business call things with eBay.
One-to-one support clinic.
And they advised that that we should offer a 60-day returns, and that would improve sales. And there's absolutely no way I'm doing 60-day
returns.
One-day
dispatch as well, just so that we're having heart attacks by the end of it, basically. Yeah.
To be fair, I do 60-day returns.
Really?
Yeah. But you know how many returns I've had after the 30-day period?
None.
Not a single one.
But personally, would you be more likely to buy from someone with 60-day or 30-day? I don't think people would really even think about it.
I don't really think it matters, but I did it because if eBay see my store or my listings have 60 days, then allegedly you get the better return policy you have, allegedly the better visibility your item will get. Like if I've got an identical item to somebody else and they've got 14-day returns and I've got 60 and everything else is the same, all the variables, promoted listings, whatever. If all the variables are the same apart from the return policy, mine should appear above theirs when someone searches for it because I've got a better returns policy. That's why I did it. But I've never, ever had a return. Watch it happen now. Touch wood. There you go. I've never, ever had a return after 30 days. So I just leave it. If it gives somebody confidence to buy something, maybe it gives people more confidence that if there is a problem.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think I'd be a bit nervous that everyone on day 59 you just get loads and loads of returns.
You just forget about it. It's not really a thing. I just put 60 days and nobody cares.
But with eBay's advice, I do seem to say a lot of things that don't really make much sense, or if you watch other resellers and stuff, and it's like, you spin around 3 times
and clap your hands
twice, you'll get more sales, or
Yeah, the two things I don't want to do to jump through their hoops. The first one is free postage. I'm not going back there. And the second one is like 1-day dispatch, because
we're not doing one.
I dispatch on I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm happy with that. Yeah. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do daily. I don't want to do same day. I'm not interested in that. I offer 2 postage options on everything. I do an every price and a Royal Mail 24 tracked, so that someone's got an option for a slightly quicker shipping, so they can choose which one they want. Hardly anybody chooses Royal Mail 24, probably 1 in about 100. But that's what I do. If someone wants it quicker, they can have that. They can use that. Yeah, I find it works all right. I don't want to jump through too many hoops. Otherwise, you might as well just be on Amazon, and just be a slave to Amazon.
Yeah.
Vinyl Nuts says here on YouTube, never look at the return times and been buying on eBay from 1999. Yeah, I don't, to be honest. Whenever I buy anything, I don't look at how long their returns is, because when I'm buying something, I'm generally like, I'm not thinking about returning it before I've even bought it. But I guess my thinking is I'm not trying to convince people to buy because it's 60-day returns. I'm trying to get an edge on eBay, like on the back end of eBay. I'm not really thinking necessarily that people are going to buy because it's 60 days. I guess the main thing with 60 days that could happen, and I was wondering if it might happen last year, is Christmas. Is if somebody bought something before Christmas, decided to use it, or didn't want it as a gift, or it was an unwanted gift, that I would get a load of returns just after Christmas from stuff bought in like October, November. But it never happened. Nothing ever happened. So it's all forgotten about. I think people would forget that you've got 60 days on.
Yeah, potentially.
AN1 says, I'd be worried about buyers treating 60-day returns as a free clothes hire service. Yeah, you can be worried about it. You can be worried about it, but I do. Well, my store is now more than 50% clothing, and I don't have an issue with it. And like I said, I've never had a single return after 30 days. Let's go back to what we were talking about before. You're doing quite well on Vinted. So what do you think the secret of Vinted is to do well on there? It's simple,
and it hasn't made any big changes like eBay, because people were used to eBay operating in a certain way, and then when it changed, I think a lot of people got annoyed and left because it was trying to be like Vinted. So people were just like, well, I might as well just shop on Vinted then.
To be fair, eBay's listing, there's so much stuff you have to fill in, but with Vinted it is only the stuff that really need to be putting in there that that they ask for. With eBay it's all sorts of stuff, isn't it?
It's easier to list on Vinted. It's probably takes half the time, because you don't have all the irrelevant variables and boxes and things that you have to fill in.
On eBay we promoted, on eBay with all their item specifics.
Yeah.
I know they bang on about you know, oh, it's to help with Google searches and stuff, which I accept it probably does help, you know, having the certain keywords that appear and being linked to searches and stuff. But I heard a conversation, I can't remember where it was now, but I heard a conversation with somebody at eBay who said that item specifics also relates heavily to promoted listings. So when you promote items, whether it be general promoted, off-site, what are the other ones? Shop promoted, and there's another one. There's about 5 now, isn't there? But when you use promoted listings, the more item specifics you've got filled in, the better your promoted listings will work, because it will link all the keywords and promote it in the appropriate places. You know, like, because promoted listings isn't just about Google and appearing on Google, because that would be off-site, but it's about appearing within the eBay world, on the site on eBay. So if you've got all your item specifics correctly filled in, it will know where to place your adverts. Like if someone's just bought a He-Man figure and there's a line of adverts at the bottom, then it will place your He-Man figure there if you've filled in the correct item specifics and you've got your title right, obviously. But yeah, I think I bet you that item specifics is more linked to the earnings of promoted listings rather than anything else, because it's helping them earn money from it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't on Vinted, other than doing a boost the wardrobe or a spotlight and stuff, there isn't really any other sort of promoted fees, is there?
No, and on Vinted I did do the boost the wardrobe thing for 7 days because it was like half price, and it didn't make any difference, to be fair. I didn't sell any more than we didn't sell any more than we normally would, so I don't even think that's effective on Vinted. But I don't think
it's interesting you say that. I've heard people say that it does give a boost, but whenever I've done it, and I don't have many listings at the moment on Vinted, but whenever I've done it, it's not really done much.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it again personally. I use a Sellerator. I don't know if you've used Sellerator, but there's like a Vinted box.
Yeah, I do use it.
Yeah, and you can just send bulk messages and do relistings, and I'll just use that, and I find it's way more effective.
Yeah, no, that's good. Nick and Andrea, hi Nick or Andrea. I tend to ignore what eBay says. For me, it's only ever been about the demand for an item and price. If you have an item people want and your price is competitive, it should sell. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Let's talk about YouTube. So, what got you into starting a YouTube channel?
Alexis watches always watched a lot of YouTube, and I only ever watched music videos on it.
Well, I don't think you actually realised you could watch stuff that was more like an actual programme than it was just music videos and, you know, videos of silly cats doing silly things and stuff. But I watched a lot of urban exploring.
Yeah.
And then I got you into watching that, and there's true crime on there and everything. And then I think it was you said to me one day, why don't we just start our own channel?
You discovered Jammy Dodger.
Okay, so then we watched people.
all of his videos, and then we found Nick and Andrew and watched all of their videos, and we were like, well, we could do that. How hard can it be?
How hard can it
be? But yeah, we just watched loads of other resellers and thought, oh, we might as well do that as well. It looks like a laugh.
Yeah.
And we just...
How's it going? How are you finding it?
Yeah, I mean, we just don't take it very seriously, really, because all we are is a couple of birds.
You may have noticed.
Yeah, you might have noticed. Just a couple of birds who buy stuff and sell it. You know, it's not a big drama or a big deal. So we just keep it light and
silly.
Yeah. And that's it, really. Yeah. Just some extra that we do as part of our reselling stuff.
Yeah,
but we just don't do. Yeah.
Are you earning anything off it yet?
A little bit, I think.
It's building up at the moment, but I think you need a certain amount before you can actually get any money anyway.
Yeah.
So it's building up a little.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're getting paid to talk is wonderful.
For like 15 minutes about, you know,
yeah.
anything and everything.
And we've got lots of people who are regulars on our channel and always make comments, and that's really nice. Yeah. Because I still don't know why people watch us, but they do. But yeah, we really enjoy it, don't we?
Yeah, we did have a schedule actually for filming and all that kind of thing, but then it got too regimented.
Yeah, we tried to be a bit more professional
today,
but didn't work.
But now it's more spare moment, which always comes across as more natural and stuff, which I think is a bit nicer.
Yeah,
I find it difficult to set a schedule for YouTube because I don't want to be. I have a very loose schedule. I don't particularly want to have that commitment of like guaranteeing a video at this day, this time, because stuff happens, doesn't it, in life? Or you know, all of a sudden, you know, eBay's gone dead, so you got to work a bit harder on eBay because you do have to. Sometimes you have to prioritize that. You know, YouTube's just a small side hustle, and eBay is your breadwinner. So, you know, if that's the case, it'd be silly to focus on YouTube and leave your eBay. You know.
Yeah.
Definitely. I just don't like sort of, I mean, we do our Monday night show at 8, and that's about the only guarantee that I'll give on the channel, you know, that we'll be there on Monday at 8 unless we're on holiday or something. What have you got any plans for the rest of this year, like for your business, and any different directions you're going to go in or anything interesting?
Well, we are moving at the end of this month from the office to the unit and then working from home. So really, that's going to be very nice for us because I think we're going to be getting up and just getting on with work rather than actually sort of, you know, just putting our feet up all morning and then coming in the office at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon instead. So we'll actually probably be more productive,
and we're going to save a fortune because the rent on this place is quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll be paying about, I think on the unit, about a quarter-ish what we pay on this place.
Yeah.
So
that's going to make a big difference.
That's why we're downsizing the stock at the moment. So
yeah, but we are going to bulk up the clothes side of it to build up the store a bit more because we do want to get a mortgage eventually, but we're not earning enough at the moment. So that's our big aim for this year, is to earn enough to be able to get a mortgage because we rent at the moment. That sucks.
Yeah, we keep playing the lottery, but we've had
we've tried to win the lottery, but no.
Yeah.
Well, you can only try, can't you? One thing I would say about wanting to get a mortgage is, from my experience, and this isn't advice necessarily, but from my experience is, if you're self-employed in this role and you're thinking about getting a mortgage, try and minimize the amount of expenses that you take out of your business over the next couple of years. You know, everyone says, oh, you know, you can run this through your business, you can run that through your business. But what that does is it makes it look like you've not earned hardly anything when you come to get a mortgage. So once you've got your mortgage, put every fucking thing through your business that you want. But prior to that, you need a good couple of years of, actually, no, I'm not going to take this, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to make my bit. What you want effectively is to pay as much tax as possible, because that tells them that you're earning profit. You're in profit. You're earning money. You know, if you go to them and say, "Oh, well, you earned all this money, but my actual profit was only this," but in reality, you took a load of expenses out. Well, you're screwed.
Yeah, that's why we're getting the unit actually, because we want to be, you know, we want to not pay several hundred like we are now, really.
Yeah, that's going to be a big,
to be fair, massive saving on that.
It's going to be a huge saving. And the guy who owns the storage units that we work in has done us a fantastic deal because we've been here for such a long time now. Yeah. So he's given us a massive discount on just the unit, and that's amazing.
Cool. That's good. That's positive then.
Yeah.
Right. We're nearly at the end, but I've got 2 questions for you. The first question is, if you could give yourself one piece of advice back in when you first started reselling, what would that be?
Don't.
Don't quit your job.
No, go on then.
I would say if you can work from home. Don't rush to get a unit or an office.
Yeah,
because it's just going to be an added expense.
We only did because we had to.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Circumstances meant that we had to at the time. But if you can work from home, you've got a shed or a spare room or a corner, work from that instead.
Or you know someone with a shed or a spare room or a corner.
Exactly.
Then,
so keep
definitely.
your outgoings as small as possible.
Mm.
That would be my advice.
Yeah.
Like you.
Good piece of advice, that.
From the very beginning, I would have said that we should have sorted out that box of Lego from your dad. I think
I knew Lego was coming into this.
Yeah. And also, I would say not to pay too much attention to what everyone else is doing, and you know, because other people might be selling more and making more than you, but you just do what you can do.
What works for one person won't necessarily work for everybody.
Because I made the mistake like last year of watching the bigger YouTubers
and taking advice from other people as well.
And it just wasn't right for us because we're not going to be a limited company anytime soon. We're not going to be sending millions of parcels.
We were like blue ass flies trying to not copy, but trying to follow advice left, right and centre. Really.
Yeah, but now we've just kind of chilled out a bit more and we're just doing things at our own pace and seeing how it goes. Just as long as, at the moment, as long as we're making enough to live on, it's
fall in your own groove with it, really, and don't just follow everybody else. Yeah.
I think it's a good point. I think you can take it, you can listen to advice, you can watch how people do things, but then just take the bits that you feel are good for your business. You don't have to take everything. If there's a little snippet of something that, that's useful, might do that. You definitely shouldn't copy people because everyone's circumstances are so different that it might not be right for you.
And not everyone on social media is always 100% accurate. They might make it look better than it is. And I think with our channel, we do kind of show the highs and lows, and we don't
always make a lot of money.
And our little slogan is: we buy stuff, we sell stuff, we eat pot noodles. So that's kind of where we're at. So don't believe everything that you see. Always.
Very true. Very true. If I gave you £100 to spend, and you're not allowed to say Lego, what would you spend it on?
I would buy a hell of a lot of clothes. I'm interested in getting one of these bundles off Fleek, so I might have a look at that.
Oh yeah, try it. But do it the way I said. Do it on the intro. You could buy from your charity shop 100 £1 items.
I could do, and they restock every single day, and there's loads in there. And I've got a really good bit of banter with the lady who works in there now, so she'll sometimes put things aside for me. So I'd probably go and buy a load of clothes, 100 items.
Your clothing sellers now, after all.
Yeah, I mean, unless some Action Man stuff became available, I still love Action Man, vintage Action Man, and wrestlers. Yeah, but you couldn't get much of that for £100.
No, probably not. For me, I'd go to a car boot and I would immediately see a job lot of Silent Hill 2 and 3 for the PS2 that someone was selling for £100, and I'd pick that up.
Yeah,
but that'd be if you own.
Oh yeah, they'd all end up my own. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Right, well, we're all done. Hopefully, it wasn't too bad for you having a nice little chat with a few people watching. It's all good.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, like YouTube and socials? Where should they look?
If you go onto our YouTube thingy, that's Flipping Retro, and we've got a link to our eBay, Vinted,
etc.,
Depop, Britlink, etc. All of them are on there. And if you would like to subscribe, we'll be very grateful. And watch our videos.
Go and check out.
Bigger partners.
Check out That's Flipping Retro on YouTube, and subscribe, give them some support. Thank you, girls, and also thank you to Fleek for sponsoring this entire series. Very kind of you. And if you want to use the code RFD-carbootChris, all capitals, you get a £26 discount on your first order when you sign up. Use that code when you actually sign up on the app. There's a download link in the description, and it's in the chat as well. And that is it for Series 5 of the podcast. We're going to have a break before we decide what we're going to do next. And we are done for today. Don't forget, if you're listening on Spotify, if you're listening on Apple Music, or what else is there? Amazon, Alexa, and all that business. Please hit the download button, because that's effectively like subscribing on YouTube. It makes sure that every time there's a new podcast comes, it downloads to your device and you'll have access to it straight away. So a bit similar to subscribing on YouTube. That's it for today. Thank you to Alexis and Jen. Appreciate you being here. Go and subscribe to That's Flipping Retro. See you all.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode of the Everything Reselling podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, to follow, or to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.